Is there any doubt that Lamine Yamal is the most impressive youngster in the world? You know, there have been times when he's been compared to Endrick, Ardagula and Garnacho, but now we can all laugh about those conversations. The fact is, Lamine Yamal is building a legacy like no other in history. I mean, let's start with the most obvious example, the Trivela pass. This is something we've seen dozens of times since the start of the season. Just like the Ronaldo chop or Mbappe's near post finish, Lamine Yamal makes the Trivela pass his signature move. And the crazy thing is that he does it without even hesitating. He just sees his teammate from 40 yards out and pulls it off, like he's playing FIFA. He even talked about it. It's the L2 button on the joystick in an interview after one of his assists earlier this season.
L2 creo que es.
L2, bueno, probaré.
But you know what's funny? He doesn't care about revealing his magic by saying, "When I see Rafinha on the far part of the pitch, I play this 100% of the time." He's just not afraid of defenders learning how to handle it. The thing is that he does it better and better every time. For example, 2 games after that same interview, he did it again in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund, but unfortunately, this time Rafinha missed it. Nevertheless, of his 9 assists in La Liga this season, 3 have come from Trivela passes, against Villarreal and Mallorca when the Brazilian finished, and against Espanyol when Dani Olmo was the man blessed with Yamal's magical touch. And before we move on to other flashy examples of why Lamine Yamal is building an untouchable legacy, let me tell you one more thing about his signature move. The fact is that the relationship between him and the Trivela pass is a very long one. This is what his youth coach Jordi Font told The Athletic in December. I think it comes from the street football he's grown into. Playing in the futsal pitch of his neighbourhood, where you can use the walls to pass the ball and dribble past players, and being a bit cheeky while playing against older opponents. Paul Balos, on the other hand, added that Yamal likes to watch highlight videos of Neymar and Messi before matches, but the Trivela pass has certainly come naturally to him. If you have any doubts as to whether Yamal is the true owner of the Trivela move, claiming that Roberto Carlos, Luka Modric or Ricardo Quaresma used it before him, well, there is no denying that Lamine Yamal is the youngest player to ever wear a signature Adidas boot, the F50 LY304. And if you're wondering what the last 5 symbols stand for, it's Lamine Yamal 304, with the number being a reference to the postcode of the house in Rocafonda where he lived as a child. And the 3 digits, by the way, are another example of his legacy. But more of that in a minute. As for his signature boots, he's reportedly signed a 10-year deal with Adidas, making him the youngest player to do so, surpassing Jude Bellingham, who also has a signature boot. But that's not all. Yamal is expected to join the likes of Lionel Messi, Paul Pogba, Mohamed Salah, and Bellingham as players with a personalised logo, which will help him develop his personal brand. Furthermore, if he maintains his current form, Lamine is well placed to become the top ambassador for Adidas' speed boot, currently the F50, replacing Leo Messi when he retires. Well, if that doesn't spark aura, I don't know what does. Well, having said all that, Lamine Yamal has a signature move, a signature logo, personalised boots. So what's next? His celebration, of course. Yes, we've all seen his trademark celebration when he shows the numbers 304 with his fingers. Yamal himself has admitted that despite the fame and attention, he never forgets his humble beginnings. He respects the road he's travelled and always speaks highly of his family traditions. That's why he immortalises the memory of his childhood home in his celebration, just like Lionel Messi, although the Argentinian's case is a little different. So yeah, the simple things, the traditions, the family stuff are very important to Yamal. Just look at the passion with which he talks about his grandmother's homemade pastries.
Pasta marroquíes y esto es un poco de té. Yo creo que en cualquier merienda hace falta esto. Estos son de Marruecos, que esto la primera vez que lo vi fue cuando mi abuela una vez fui a merendar y me lo preparó y desde ahí pues siempre que me viendo intento probar un poquito. Me acuerdo un día que venía de jugar en el parque y tenía mucha hambre. Mi abuela me dijo, siéntate que te hace la merienda.
And when we talk about his legacy, we can't forget all the records he's broken. The youngest player to play, score and assist in La Liga history. The youngest player to play and score for Barcelona in La Liga, the Copa del Rey and the Champions League. The youngest player to play, score and assist at the Euros. And of course, the youngest player to win an international tournament and an individual international award. You know, he won the Best Young Player award at the Euros after scoring the goal of the tournament against France and laying on 4 assists. He then went on to become the youngest player to win the Golden Boy and Copa Trophy awards, as well as earning a top 10 spot for the Ballon d'Or. I'm sure we're missing dozens of other records that Yamal has broken in recent months, but let's not go into too much detail. He is undoubtedly the best young player in the world and arguably a top 5 player overall at the moment. I mean, just look at the impact he's having on Barcelona and the Spanish national team. In 2024-25, there's only one game in which Lamine Yamal started for the Catalans and they lost. That was the disastrous 1-0 defeat to Leganés, in which Yamal was still the most impressive player on the pitch, completing 5 out of 6 dribbles, the most of any player on the pitch, and completing 35 out of 43 passes in the game. Yes, the stats show that he didn't create a single chance on the night, but let's not forget that he was subbed off long before the final whistle. So in every other defeat they've suffered this season, against Osasuna, Real Sociedad, Las Palmas and Atletico Madrid, Barcelona have been without arguably their best creator. Yes, if you look at the chances created, and big chances created, Yamal falls behind Pedri and Rafinha. However, let's not forget that the 17-year-old has played 300 minutes less than the Brazilian and 200 less than his compatriot. And even taking that into account, Lamine Yamal is the league's top assist provider on 9, with Rafinha on 6 and Pedri far behind on 2. At this point, the most die-hard Barca fans are probably wondering, bro, why are you comparing them? It's all about team performance, not individual. Yes, you're absolutely right, but we have to make some comparisons to show how important he is to the team. Not only that, but in the hours following the defeat to Atletico Madrid, a term known as Yamal dependencia, or Yamal dependence, began to circulate on Spanish social networks. So yeah, all in all, every single example we've given comes to show us the legacy that Lamine Yamal is building, starting with that iconic photo with Lionel Messi 17 years ago. The kid was literally meant to be a legend and do all the things that have now become standard for him. Much like Messi, Lamine Yamal has captured the hearts of fans in almost the same way. Yes, there's certainly room for improvement in terms of shooting and positioning, for example, but there's no denying that the reactions Yamal evokes are like deja vu of 10 years ago when Messi was at his best. The velvet touch, the ball control, the sharp change of direction, the far post finish, the trademark celebration, the boots, the humble attitude, the love of the badge. It's like something we've seen before, but with one small difference, that this time it's all happening with Yamal, doing it even younger. But you know what's craziest? Even though he knows he's special, he knows he's gifted and a once-in-a-lifetime talent, he knows everyone is talking about him, and yet he keeps himself grounded and humble. Just look at the way he speaks at interviews or ceremonies, laughing with the reporter, giving proper answers without letting his ego speak. Or what about his acceptance speech for the Copa Trophy? We can see the typical tremor in the voice of a young man who wants to thank everyone who helped him get there. On paper, his speech was short and not very complex, but you can feel just how down-to-earth and natural Yamal really is. He's pretty straightforward and direct off the pitch, and that really helps him on the pitch. When he's with the ball at his feet, he's not trying to impress anyone with flashy tricks, like Neymar, or other players who are known for showing off, like Alan Saint-Maximin at Newcastle a few years ago. Or let's say Adel Taarabt, the Moroccan who was once described as one of the most skillful players in the world. They are incredible with the ball, but they do it without purpose. Lamine, on the other hand, he does it because his team needs him to do it. He plays simple but effective football. As the legendary Johan Cruyff once said, playing football is very simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is. Well, there's no concrete evidence that Yamal has been inspired by Cruyff, but he's certainly heard this quote before, and has been extremely effective in putting it into practice. Only time will tell if Yamal can catch Messi and Ronaldo on a purely footballing level, but when it comes to legacy, he is way beyond them. Let me finish with this. Lamine Yamal is something no one has ever seen in football history, period. If we've made you think for even a moment about the magnitude of the sensation called Lamine Yamal, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, by staying till the end, you're telling me that you enjoy our content. So, why don't you jump straight to our video on La Masia's main rivals for the best academy in La Liga.